Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I entered Congress in September of 2019. And 2019 had followed that May peak the former administration adapted to circumstances, changed policy, and proved that this can be dramatically changed. There can be effective border enforcement. I reflect as we sit here today, and I concur. First of all, thank you to these fantastic witnesses. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, to Freedom Works for allowing us this facility. It is obscene. It is outrageous beyond, it's not even an adequate description to call it outrageous, that we're sitting here with this narrow platform to try to amplify for the American people what is happening here. What must an American who watches this believe? I hear it all the time on a variety of subjects throughout my district back in North Carolina, that people are desperate to know what is happening, what can we do? We have, by your description, by the witness's description, we have a conspiracy, if you will, of the current administration of the United States, the President of the United States, UN organizations that we mostly finance, American lawyers who are traveling to try to facilitate false claims of asylum so that people can flood into the United States. I'll be honest with you. Secretary Mayorkas came before Homeland Security, won't come before Judiciary, by the way, but he came before Homeland Security a couple of times early this year, and he would say, we have a plan, and we are executing our plan. And I kept seeing that phrasing appear in all of the transcripts in the Senate and in the House. He would say, we have a plan, and we are executing our plan every day. And I asked him one time, I said, so is this the plan? And he sort of started trying to backpedal as if the answer was no, but I think there's no denying it. This is intentional. It is intentional policy. I think I want to venture to ask you witnesses if you can explain to me why those who are pursuing this seek to do it. They certainly see that it is imposing unprecedented human misery. People are dying and suffering. You said something a moment ago, Mr. Judd, and I'm going to go send the question to you first. You said that the vast majority, that was your phrasing, of migrants coming illegally are entering indentured servitude. And it makes all the sense in the world, whether it turns out the number's $3,000 or $5,000 or $6,500 or $33,000 for some particular ethnicities or points of origin. People are paying more money than people in those circumstances have to come here. And if they're paying it, that means they've got to pay it off by working for somebody as essentially a slave. Why are those who have worked together to do this, why are they doing it?
1 and 1 always equals 2. I'm going to use the evidence that has been gathered to come to that conclusion. They are simply trying to appease their far left base. That's what they're doing. That's what they care about. When you ask Secretary Mayorkas if he has a plan, I would argue that he does have a plan. His plan is to pull our resources off the border to appease that far left base that this administration is so concerned about, to bring them out to the polls.
You know, Mr. Judd, I accept that to a degree. And it makes sense that sort of an empty head, full heart would be the reason that you see people cite there. But you can't watch what is happening and believe that you're acting in compassion for anybody. No one on the left can genuinely believe that when you do it to this degree and with this result, that's good, that it helps somebody. Mr. Bensman, what about that? Is that the answer, that it's just inability to reason?
I'm asked this question all the time. I never have a good answer. I do believe that there's an appeasement going on to the Bernie Sanders block of that party, that they campaigned all along during 2020. They said what they were going to do, and they did it. They reduced, they abolished ICE for all intents. ICE is still there on paper, but it's abolished. They're not doing deportation. They said they were going to do that. I think that it's part of an ideology, a kind of a theology on the left about immigration and immigrants that's disconnected from reality about what causes immigration and who they are. They tend to kind of caricature what an immigrant is and how they're running from some existential threat and that sort of messaging, but I don't think very many of them have actually been on the ground and spent any time with immigrants themselves, so they don't understand that the immigrants that they are enticing to come here are dying because of it.
Well said.
And directly.
Let me, and my time's expired. I'm going to say just one thing as I conclude. When ideology trumps common wisdom and common sense, no limit to the destruction that is portended by that. And I shudder to think about the fact that the only way to stop this is for a president or someone to be impeached. And if you don't do that, and this continues and grows for 3 more years, where will America be? I thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.